Shalom lekulam, and welcome to our fourth intermediate lesson on Kabbalah. In this lesson, we're going to cover a little bit more about the system of Adam Kadmon. And with this lesson, we will be able to then, in the next lesson, talk about Sium Bet and what's going to happen after Sium Bet. Okay, so let's start talking about orientation. Like I have mentioned before, as we study these systems in spirituality, we have to make sure that this whole thing that we're studying, even though we're breaking it into parts and pieces, they are all one whole. And therefore, we have to make sure that we have orientations well set, and that we always remember that as we study the process of creation, that we concentrate our efforts as well, meditating in the words Ein Od Milvoto. There is no one else besides him. Okay, so very important that we keep that in mind, even though we break it into parts and pieces. Like I said, that doesn't mean that those parts and pieces are one more important than the other one. The whole system is important. Every part is equally important. Also concentrate on the words of Yeshayahu, in which he says, "So says the Lord, the King of Israel and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am first, I am last, and besides me there's no other God." Okay, and basically, even though we can call him different names, Adonai Melech, Israel, Vegolo, Adonai Tsebaot, he is the Rishon, and he is the Acharon. He is the first and the last one, and there's no other Elohim besides him. Okay, there's no other forces besides him. All the forces that we're studying, they're all part of what we call the Creator. Okay, so in our previous lesson, we talk about the levels of development of the desire, how these levels eventually become a independent desire from what we call the essence of the light. And we said that this level of desire, which is Behina Dalet, the fourth of these levels or degree, or Behinot, it's the one that is the most egoistical. It's the one that is wants everything, and when it developed that type of desire in which it wanted everything. It wanted not only everything that the Creator has to give, but also wanted everything, the pleasure of receiving and the pleasure of being basically a creator itself, egoistically. It feels shame. It creates a tzimtzum, or a restriction, right in the middle of it. And on that restriction, something starts happening. The light, it basically is void of light, and that restriction is a masach, a lid, if you will, or a filter that will let some light go in, and it will reflect the rest. It will only receive those the lights, those lights from above, if it is only for the sake of giving back to the Creator, or giving pleasure back to the Creator, or doing what the Creator wants it to do. So that was called Tzimtzum Aleph, meaning first restriction. That first restriction in Ein Sof, because remember these Behina, it's Ein Sof. Okay, it says Ein Sof has that restriction. Then what we're going to see is that it sends a line of light all the way to that void in the center. And that's where all that we're studying in Kabbalah is happening, in that line right here. Okay, so what we're gonna study is basically that line right here, and that line has parts that we cover, that we mentioned, in our previous lesson, and it creates a world called Olam Adam Kadmon. And Olam Adam Kadmon, it has a version of a primordial, or it's a version of a primordial man. Adam Kadmon, that means that primordial man. So you're gonna see that it has some similarity with the physical man on earth, and also with Adam Harishon, the first Adam that we read in Genesis. So we're gonna see that it has a Rosh. A Rosh is a head. It has a Toch, which is like at the chest. A Sof, which is from the waist down all the way to the legs. And Guf means body. And then with the Masach, that's where the restriction is. The Masach is that lid, that will let some light in and reflect the other one. And it has a Peh. Peh means mouth. That's where the light goes in. And there are 3 restrictions inside that parzuf. Parzuf means persona, and we're gonna see that eventually we see more parzuf. There's a masach, there's a tabur, and the sium, which we're gonna touch base in this lesson. So this, what you see here, we're gonna see it from now on in this way. Okay, so when you see this is basically like the kav, and we're gonna be studying according to the kav what is happening inside that line of light. Also, we mentioned that inside this vessel there's all other partzufim that were created, and these partzufim have names according to the extension of or the spelling of the name Yod He Vav He. So depending on the spelling, what is added to the name of 4 letters of God, that's the value that we're gonna get, and according to the value, it's the name that we're gonna have. Therefore, according to the value 72, that's Ain Bet, so we're gonna call the first parzuf after Adam Kadmon Av. Then the next one, because the value is gonna be 63, that's Sag, we're gonna call it Sag. And then the next one, because the value that it gives on this spelling is 45, we have a men and haze, we call it Ma. And the last one, which the value is 52, because that's a Beit and a Nun, we call it Bon or Ban. Okay, and this is how it's gonna look. We have parzuf Olam Adam Kadmon, and we're gonna know this parzuf as Galgalta. Galgalta meaning skull. And then after that, from this parzuf, we're gonna have these different spelling, these different parzuf, Av, Sag, Ma, and Bon, according to their value in the name of God. Okay. Then we mentioned that these parzuf, or these type of forces that we see here, when you read the book of Torah, you're gonna see that the letters have certain symbols in the top and in the bottom, and some are like cantillations, some are basically sounds and crowns, and those allude to the parzuf that we were talking about over here, Av, Sag, Ma, Bon. And for example, the Tamim, which is flavor, that's the light entering the Kli. That's the symbolism. So that is this light is Av. Then we have Sag. Sag is points created when the light leaves the Kli. So that's when the light, is leaving the Kli. So it's right here. as nekudot. Then tagin is memories or reshimot left after the light enters the kli. So that's partzuf ma. Ma is this one here, and those are like little memories that stay inside the partzuf after the light, left. Then the atiot is the letter itself. Those are memories of the light after leaving the kli. So we have tagim, ma, and bom. Light enters, it leaves memory, lights leave, the light leave, and leaves a memory. So that's ma and bom, meaning tagin and atiot. So the crowns and the letter itself. So when you read a letter of the Torah, let me see if I can find an example quickly here. So when you find a letter, when you read in the Torah and you see a letter in the Torah, and how this letter has crowns and all these little points in the bottom and everything, which those points also allude to different forces or sefirot. You will find also that these are information that the Torah is giving us that will help us understand what is going on that on that word. For example, here we have the word Bereshit. Okay, the word Bereshit. If we are to follow what we have here, right? So the word Bereshit, what we say is the following here is the atiot, which is bon, which is what is called the malchut, right? The level of malchut is each of the letters. So each of the letters is a vessel. Okay, each of the letters is a vessel. Then there is the crowns, right? The crowns, we're not gonna see it here because this is a version from an online version. But when you look at the Torahs that are written, the original Torah scroll, you're gonna see that it has crowns. The scribe, when he's writing the Sefer Torah, he puts crowns on these letters. So that's ma. Okay. Then you're gonna have sag. Ma is basically seramping. This is malchut. The letter is malchut. The crowns is seramping. And then you're gonna find bina. Bina is sag. Okay. So sag is gonna be these points that you see here. Okay. And if you are a person that knows how to chant the Torah, there's gonna be some symbols like this one over here. This one is in the bottom of the word Bereshit, but usually you're gonna find them in the top as well. These are ta'amim. Ta'amim are the flavors as the light entering the Torah, and those are musical notes, or maybe a way to that help us understand or read the word in a musical tone or chant it. Okay, so that's what you're gonna see. So each letter, for example, we see that the tav over here, it doesn't have a nekudot, it doesn't have a tagin, at least in this version, right? It doesn't have a ta'amim, it doesn't have anything, it's just the atiyot. So we can say that this is a letter. Tav is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Therefore, this letter means that from the beginning all the way to the very, very, very bottom end, where there's basically no light at all, just a vessel. So it gives us information that way. So Beit has nekudot, which is when the light leaves the kli, right? And that in the center, doesn't count in this, but those are nekudot. Those are nekudot. This is a house. is housing something, and this house is telling us, that there was something before somewhere, right? Something that is happening. That's what we're studying. What happened before Bereshit, before the beginning, and then it's gonna tell us, with the Resh, what happened according to this Nekudot, because each Nekudot has have a correspond to a sefirot as well, and then we have the Aleph, and the Aleph doesn't have a Nekudot here or anything like that, but remember the Aleph is a Vav, a Yod, and a Yod, so it's going to tell us, certain information here as well. So that's why you need to look at it. Each word is a vessel of itself, or each word inside itself has the letters, which are vessels, and according to the Nekudot, according to the Ta'amim, according to the Tagin, it's going to give us some information. So that's something, that is very interesting if you want to spend some time looking at these things, which are good to know, but it's not the main purpose of Kabbalah to understand this in depth, unless, it brings some type of connection with the Creator. So like I said, inside this, let me go back here. Inside this over here, we can draw it this way as well. You're gonna find the parzuf Ab, Sag, Ma, and Bon. So this is basically the parzuf itself of Adam Kadmon, and how these other parzuf are within him or it. Okay. So this is the one that I'm going to spend some time explaining, and the reason I'm going to explain some time explaining this drawing is to make sure you understand that there is a, let me get back to the drawing. There is a concept in Kabbalah in which the parzuf and the kalim, the vessels, clothe each other. So and that's kind of confusing, guys. I just want to make sure that you understand this, because it's gonna come up a lot of times, and you're gonna see that you're gonna get confused when we talk about, well, let's say, like in this case, the Tifaret of Rosh, and the wording of this Tifaret is gonna involve, all these vessels that we have here, Agat Nehi, right? And when we mention Tifaret, we are mentioning all these vessels. So we want to make sure that when we say that you understand that it includes, a lot of other vessels with it. However, Tiferet clothes, or is clothed by Chokmah. So we want to make sure that the confusion with this drawing that I'm gonna create, you might want to go back to this video until you get it and understand it better. You got Tifaret, Chesed, and then down here you're gonna have Malchut. However, what we have here, Bina. So Malchut is clothed by Bina, and it's very important that you understand this, because these two forces of Malchut and Bina are the ones that are gonna be basically interacting. These two desires are gonna be interacting a lot. Malchut is the desire to receive for itself, and if you remember in our study of the Behinot, Bina doesn't want to receive light. It just wants to give light, and it receives only for the sake of the Creator, and that's when it needs to basically to turn into this pipe, if you will, through which, or Chokmah, which is the light of Chokmah, can go through, so it can give light to the lower realms, to the lower partzufim. In this case, will be Tifaret. Here, Bina, you got Hagat Nehi. Remember Hagat Nehi here, that's Tifaret. So when we have this here, basically we're talking about Tiferet, and then this is Malchut, but then we have Malchut here. This is Malchut empty of light, and we're going to explain that. The first thing that you need to understand is the following, and I want to make sure I did this right. There are, as to take, there are 3 Malchut, as you can see here, right? You got Malchut there, you got a Malchut here, and you have a Malchut here. These Malchut are barriers. So the first Malchut that we see is located in the Peh. Okay, so it's called Malchut Hamizda Veget. This is the Malchut that interacts with the upper light. Okay, so this Malchut is the one that is the lead that we talk about when Tzimtzum Aleph happened. Okay, so this is a Malchut that will have an opening in which the light will go in, right? And then it will allow the light to go in, but just enough light to receive it, just enough in order to please the Creator. Okay, then there's another Malchut, and that's Malchut Hamizda Chechet. And this one, it's what we call the Tabur. Okay, the Tabur, and this Malchut doesn't let the light go in. Okay, so what it does is stop the light from going down here. That's what it does. It doesn't let the light go below the Tabur at all. And if it goes below the Tabur, because remember these are vessels that are, the lower the vessels, the more egoistic they are, the more they want to receive, and so if it allows light to go in, that light needs to be dressed in Or Hasidim first before that happen. Okay, so that's what we have there. Then the next Malchut is Malchut HaMesayemet, and Malchut HaMesayemet prevents the light from spreading into the 10 sefirot of Guf and Sium. So this is basically the Sium here, and in the Sium, this one is a barrier. This one basically pushes back as well to make sure that the light doesn't go to the 10 sefirot that are down here, to this 10 sefirot here. Okay, so with that, 3 divisions. Okay, we got 3 divisions here, and these 3 divisions are basically the Rosh, the Toch, and the Sof. The Rosh, Toch, and Sof. Remember when we talk about the Parzuf has a head like a chest, and also from the waist down, which is the legs, all the way to the Sium, which is considered the soles of the feet. So the Rosh, inside the Rosh, you're gonna have 10 sefirot. So you're gonna be Keter, Hod, Mabina, Chesed, Geburat, Tifaret, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and Malchut. And then you're gonna find the Peh, right? That's where the Malchut is, Malchut Hamizda Veget. And then in the Toch, you're gonna have 10 sefirot as well. And the Malchut of this Toch, it's what is considered the Tabur. Then after that, you're gonna have 10 more sefirot, and the Malchut of the Soft is called Sium. Make note of this because we're gonna talk a lot about Rosh, Toch, Soft, Peh, Tabur, and Sium. Okay. So these 10 sefirot in Rosh and in Toch and in Sof can also be described as the following. You can have Keter, Hod, Ma, and Bina as Keter, Chokmah, and Bina. However, Tifaret, we can say Tifaret or Seramping, it will always have with it 6 sefirot. So we'll have Chesed, Chokmah, Tifaret, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod inside Tifaret. So whenever you hear Tifaret, it will be talking about this sefirot, 6 sefirot. Then Malchut will be by itself. Malchut will be by itself. So therefore you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like the 5 Behinot that we studied before. And like I mentioned before, Kabbalah is like a fractal spirituality. The same thing that you see here can be done down here in the Toch and down here in the Sof. We can represent them the same way. Okay. However, this is when things get kind of confusing. Just as these 10 Sefirot can be described in this way in 5 levels of 5 Sefirot, which are basically 10, it can also be described the following. You have Rosh, Toch, and Sof. As you have these 10 Sefirot here, you will have 10 Sefirot from here to here, right? 10 Sefirot. And what we're gonna have is in here what we call Keter, Chokmah, and Bina. That will be our Keter. Okay. Then what we call Tifaret here, it will be our Chokmah. And what we call our Malchut here, it will be our Bina. Okay. The same thing will be down here, but the only difference is that we're not going to have a Keter, a Chokmah, and a Bina down here. We are going to have a Chesed, a Geburah, and a Tifaret. Then that's on the Toch, okay? Then down here what we're going to have is the following on the Sof. We're going to have a Netzat, a Hod, and a Yesod. And what happened with Malchut? There's no Malchut in here. So you can say that, let me change color here. You can say that from here to here, this is basically Seramping, right? Which is Tifaret, right? This whole thing is Tifaret. And then this is Malchut here. That's Malchut. So Malchut in this moment is empty of light. There's no light going. Why? The Sium stops the light from spreading lower than the Sium. It's a limit, it's a barrier. However, we have a Malchut here. But remember, this Malchut is here according to what we have here, which is the barriers. And that's where it gets confused, because you got a Malchut here, but then you have a Malchut here. What? And as we study, you're gonna see that it sounds confusing, but at the end it's gonna start making sense, and it's gonna start making you understand when he mentions Keter, Chokmah, and Bina of Rosh. You know that it will include 10 Sefirot with it. And when he says, Chesed, Geburah, Tifaret, you know that is the Toch. And Nehi will be then this in the Sof. And pay attention on and make notes actually as well, because what's gonna happen is the following. There's something that is going to happen with these vessels, okay? And also there's something that is going to happen with these vessels as we study after seeing some bet and all that. But especially there's something that is going to happen with this place here, which is Tiferet. And what is going to happen there, just to give you a little preview, is that there's something called the 8 kings that die that is mentioned in the Zohar, and it's right here that happened. The breaking of the vessels also happened in this area here, down here, and so keep that in mind. Okay, let me erase this. So the breaking of the vessels is gonna happen down here, and the 8 kings that die has to do with this system here below the Tabur. There's a very important, and I want you to take note on this, because it's very good that you understand this concept before we start, and it's called this Nikvei Enaim. Nikvei Enaim is basically the eyelids of the eyes, and it's called like that because it's on the what is called the Rosh, right? The Rosh, and you're gonna have, you know, the nose, the mouth, the eyes, the ears, and we're gonna cover that, you know, as we study, and probably in our next lesson we're gonna study about that. But Nikvei Enaim is a place that a sivuk, a light, a striking of the light into the masach in the Rosh, is gonna create a system that is gonna be based on bestowal. However, because the vessels were not ready, also is gonna create a breaking. So keep that in mind, that name Nikvei Enaim. And Nikvei Enaim, it's located in what we call Bina of Bina. Okay, so if Bina is bestowal, and you time that bestowal times 2, that's pure bestowal, right? So when that happens, the light is gonna go all the way down with basically almost or no restriction, and it needs to be restricted. But then another thing will happen, that the light is gonna go down, and that's when these vessels are gonna break, or down here. So this basically was a lesson for you to understand that the partzufim are gonna be all the same way. Like I said, Kabbalah is fractal spirituality. So they're gonna have a Rosh, they're gonna have a Toch, they're gonna have a Sof, they're gonna have a Peh, a Tabur, and a Sium. So the partzufim, what you're gonna see is, I go back, is that they do have a Peh, as you can see here. The Tabur is gonna play a very important role when, together with the Peh, because light enters to the Peh, and then the Tabur rises itself to the Peh, but it creates a new parzuf, and the Peh is gonna be kind of a lower level. So let's go back to our drawing over here, and let's talk a little bit more about what's happening here. So in the Rosh, right here in the Rosh, what you're gonna find in the parzuf is that the Rosh is where the calculations are done. Okay, and the calculations are done, and this is considered vessels of bestowal. They're not, you know, vessels of egoistic vessel. Okay, so that's basically what's going to happen in the Rosh. Now in the Toch, what's going to happen is the following. the toch is a place where the actions are going to take. These are where the corrections are going to be done, right? Corrections are made in the toch, and the light dress in the kalim, in the dresses in the vessels. Over here, the calculations are done. Let's see if there. Calculations are done in the rosh, and corrections are done here in the toch. Now, when it comes to the sof, the light that is received here is restricted. It's restricted. It doesn't flow there freely. Something needs to happen in order for that light to go in. And for that light to go in, it needs to be basically or Chokmah clothed in or Hasidim. That's the only way. So you're gonna have the light of Chokmah clothed with the light of Bina in order to allow certain percentage of the light to start going inside these vessels. It's gonna be little by little, and that's very important to understand. So what happened is the following. In here, these vessels receive in order to give back, to bestow. In here, the receiving is restricted because these vessels are receivers, but they're egoistic. Okay? They're egoistic receivers. They're egoistic kalim. And this is where we need to make sure that we understand the difference between these two parts, because there's something that we're gonna learn, that in here we're gonna have basically like the forces of Bina, and down here the forces of Malchut. So Bina and Malchut are going to be interacting somehow. We're gonna have and that's gonna be on our next lesson, in which the attributes of Bina are going to be mixed with the attributes of Malchut, and the attributes of Malchut are going to be mixed with the attributes of Bina, and that interaction is going to create something called Sium bet, okay, in which a restriction is going to happen. Once again, the light is not going to go in all the way to the Sium. It's going to be restricted, and then different system, or the system changes the way it receives the light. Just to make sure that you understand the Gar and the Vak. What does that mean? Gar is gonna be the vessels of Kahab, which is Keter, Chokmah, and Bina, and Vak is gonna be those 6 lower sefirot, basically the Gimel Rishonot, and then the 6 Tachtanot, the Vav Tachtanot, which is Vav Tachtanot, which is the lower, Vav for 6, and Ak is for lower Sefirot, okay, or lower Kalim. So this is a lot already for you to keep in mind. Make sure you have taken notes. If you have to see this lesson over and over, please do so, because if you don't understand this system and how this Malchut, the 3 Malchut work, and the name of Peh, Tabur, and Sium, they're gonna appear a lot, and if you don't understand it, it's gonna be kind of confusing. And especially if our goal is to expedite this a little bit so we can start studying the book of Bereshit pretty soon in our advanced lesson according to Kabbalah, it's good that you understand what's really happening here. So if you have any questions, anything that you need me to clarify, anything like that, feel free and to send me an email through our website receivingtheupperlight.com, and I will answer as soon as I receive that email and as soon as I can, so I can help you all understand. Just remember that we're talking still about this parts of here, Gargalta. That's all we're talking about. We're talking about the parts that are inside. These are, and if you want to relate what you see here with the other one, this is the first marhut, this is the third marhut, and this is the last marhut that we talk about. Okay, and then this is the Rosh, Toch, and Sof. Okay, so that's what we're talking about in the other drawing. And make note of this drawing because, and get used to it, because this is what we're going to use to start understanding the process of creation that will lead us to the beginning of the book of Bereshit. Okay, all right, so I'll leave you there with this information. I will see you on the next lesson, lesson 5 of the intermediate Kabbalah, and visit us our website www.receivingtheupperlight.com. Also, we have a Facebook private group. If you want to, you can go find us in our website. There's a link in our website that will lead you to that book, to that group. Ask to be a member, and we're not rejecting everybody. Even though it's private, we kept it private because there's some stuff that we're going to be discussing just for that group. But please ask us to be a member of that private group, and we will accept you right away. In the meantime, have a good week, and I'll see you in the next lesson.